Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, wherever you're at in the world. It's Thursday, September 1st, 2022. Nathan Guerra here, Anna Russell next to me, and this is the wrap, episode number 7. And things blew up this morning. We'll be talking all of the updates on September 1st in this latest game version for Zwift. We'll be chatting about what we've been up to in the racing scene and training, as well as a guest coming from Team NL, actually, with Gina Van Rossum, the psychologist, who's going to talk about all things racing in relation to our mindsets. We're also looking at the pathway to esport worlds. I mean, there's new map stuff happening, and there are roads at least. Of course, fashion of the week, garage pick of the week. That's all coming at you. It's going to be a action-packed show.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting day and release so far. It looks like Zwift's really ramping up into the fall, Anna.
I know. I finished some work last night and I was sitting there with my hot chocolate and I was like, oh, what's some new stuff on YouTube? I was like, whoa, new roads. This is exciting. It was just like messaging Nathan and I'm super pumped. Should we talk about what we've done or should we just like go straight into this news?
Let's just do a quick,
Okay.
what have you, like, so I mean, the fact that you were racing Liz Van Houweling on live stream over on Innsbruck is kind of cool. You're also training for an Everesting like session. So, I mean, that's a pretty big deal, Anna. We don't want to skip over that because it's kind of a build-up, I think,
Yeah, so yes, I challenged Liz Van Houweling to a race, 3 laps of Innsbruck racing the segments. And it was actually, I wasn't even looking at my power. I was just looking at her to stay with her. I got off the bike and I uploaded it to wherever, Training Peaks or something. 40-watt increase on my 1-minute power.
That's insane. That's like, actually insane.
Crazy.
Well, and also at the power percentage of power total for you then? I mean, that's a big increase.
Like unreal. And it didn't actually even include a whole minute. I mean, that was like the lead in to the climb and then the climb. And the climb only took us 42 seconds. And she said when she did it in Wednesday Worlds, she did it in 39 or something, or 40. So we were 2 seconds off. Like, it was bananas. There are a lot of, like, I've never had so many people tune into my Twitch stream as on that. And people were like, you can do this, you can do this. I was like, I actually think I'm going to be sick. Like, it was so hard. But there we go. That gets the gains, right? And so it was awesome.
Sounds like it was super motivating to try and hold on to her wheel.
Yeah, and just the way she was like talking to me about it leading up, sort of like I guess I mentally was like, it's a hill climb, whereas she mentally was like, it's a sprint. So she was just straight orange numbers, like 13 watts a kg. I guess like when I watched yours, like what you guys did, it was just boom. And I was like, oh, this is actually a change in mindset for me. I look at like Libby Hill and I look at those ones that I think you just need to approach them like a green banner, like a sprint, right?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. When it comes to the shorter climbs, the more speed you take in, the higher punch that you have up front. A lot of times when you are into climbing, you do want to settle into a rhythm, right? You don't want to go too far over. And a lot of people approach these shorter ones that same way. I think the mountain biking cross background, for me, comes in a lot stronger on climbs like that, where it's like, no, you get over, the faster you get over this thing, the better, the quicker it's just done. And you want to attack those as best you possibly can. Anything that's going to take you less than a minute, just go for it. I mean, it's just all in from the get-go, in my opinion. So, especially if you're going for personal best on that. For what I've been up to, though, just training. That bug is finally gone. I skipped the final Wars race this past weekend. Took second overall in the series, which is really awesome. So that's pretty cool. And then, but I didn't have to show up to the last race because it's like your best 6 out of 8. And then, so I took the weekend off as far as racing goes, got healthy. And then Monday, I'm trying to do this. We've been talking about the last couple of episodes, this, how do we hit 3-hour limits? Where is my 3-hour limit when it comes to peak power, and how do I find it while throwing intervals in the middle of it all? So I took some of the FTP builder stuff that I had in Zwift and modified it into a 3-hour workout. So you're doing
Ugh,
threshold to
I
tempo,
saw
threshold to
that.
tempo. And whoo, yeah. Anyways, I did my personal best for Zwift ever for 3 hours at like
Ooh.
284 or something watts,
Oh,
4.3 watts per
wow.
kilogram or something. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm
Nathan,
excited.
that's
I'm
intense.
excited. I mean, and then I've just buried myself after that. Like I did Wednesday Worlds yesterday. Then I went on this hammer ride with Project Echelon last night, and I
Mhm.
can't move today. So I barely made it to the podcast, everybody. That's where things are at. But
So
it's getting ready
I
for Grand Prix, which is a big deal. So when
oh,
not
yeah.
Grand Prix Zwift, Grand Prix
Oh,
in real life, which is Lifetime Fitness puts on in North America, the top 25 male and female riders invite, and they're all coming to Schwamagon, which is a big mountain bike race, North Wisconsin, that I got to race all those people for cash prizes.
oof.
So that's why I'm doing this to myself. Anyways, that's what I've been up to. Whew. All right. Should we move on?
Wait. So I will know one thing to tie into last week's show. Tell me one thing you did that Jen told us, the doctor told us last week to help recovery. I'll tell you what I did. I did
Ooh,
two things.
gotcha.
One is that I was supposed to do two times up Ventop yesterday for my 3 hour kind of threshold stuff. But I raced up Alpe de Zwift on Wednesday and ended up doing a massive PR and was wrecked. And I had Jen in the back of my head going, you need to know when you're just tired and when you're pushing over the limit. I had like a little sore throat and I was like, okay, I said I was going to do this and I hate not doing it, but you know what? I think this will push me over the edge into sickness. So I didn't. I went for a nice little trail run in the local trails, super easy, got a bit of fresh air, feel way better today. So that was my learning from Jen last week.
Great to bring that up because last Saturday I'm sitting here going, I'm gonna do openers, and I do a lot of times I use the openers workout actually in Zwift. There's an openers workout that you can do that's a part. I believe it was Zwift Academy, one of the Zwift Academy years. It's a great one, or it's in the racing tab. I'm not sure which workout tab it's in, but I jumped into that, and I have this like I need to race tomorrow. I'm a part of the serial, and like I
Mm,
got done and I felt okay, but I wasn't like 100% still, I could tell. And I was like, oh, so I took the day off on Sunday. I didn't go to a race that I had high expectations around myself for and just said, and then I was like, well, if I'm not racing, I got to try to do the 3 hour thing. I was like, no, Nathan, like get ready because if you're fully ready for this next 3 weeks of training to build up to a big race, then you can just bury yourself and you can go over and over again and recover well. But if you're not fully ready and you jump into that, you're just going to end up behind the ball all the way through. So that's what I did. And next thing I know, Monday's great. Tuesday, I'm wrecked. But then yesterday, I went out and did the Wednesday Worlds and the hammer ride and buried myself again. But it was good training. Like, there's a
mm,
difference. You can feel that
yeah.
difference between I am, and you can see it in the power numbers as well. Like I'm actually accomplishing stress on the muscles that is gonna get me gains, or I'm just tired pedaling, and like
Yeah,
that doesn't make
exactly.
any sense. Like, and I said to Gabby the other day, Gabriella was here, and I was saying, hey, the difference is I go to the weight room and I'm lifting 250 pounds over and over again, let's say, but I want to hit new maxes at 350. It doesn't help me to lift 250 over and over again and just be tired lifting 250. I have to rest and get to lifting
Yeah,
350. And if I'm not rested enough to do that, I'll never get stronger over 350, right? So, uh,
exactly.
anyways, so that's how I
Good.
employed that. That was a great podcast last week. If you haven't listened to that,
Wasn't it?
everybody, we've gotten a lot of feedback on that one. Go back and listen to
Yeah,
that as far as things go for getting recovered for exercise. So, all right.
absolutely.
The big ones, the
Let's
new
hit
Zwift
it.
stuff. Here we go. And this has been for how long? I think 2019, 2018 ish. Level 50 has been a thing. Well, guess what? You're getting 10 new levels to level 60,
Woohoo!
Anna.
Yes, I'm so excited. I've been at level 50 for nowhere near as long as you have, but for probably a year now, maybe 6 months. I'm excited to get some new levels. I just like the sort of the carrot to keep going. And at the moment, like I said, when you go up Alp to Zwift, if you get an item you've already got, you get like 250 XP points. I'm like, who cares? They're not going anywhere. Like it's just going into the ether. Whereas now I'm like, yes, I can get new levels. And I assume it'll be, and we'll release it, I guess, when we know, is there'll be new stuff with each level. And you know what I like about my garage is there's new cool things we could have when we get, through all the time. So yeah, I think level 60 is great. I can see Sai in the chat, and I do just want to note I watched his YouTube last night as well, drinking my hot chocolate, and he's got a new clothing brand out, and I know one of the names of the lines is called Level 51. And I, I literally watched that. And then I watched that Zwift had new levels out to 60. I was like, oh, he's going to have to bring out a new range of clothing later called Level 61. So, yeah, not sure what Sai thought about that.
Yeah, and Sai actually jumped into Wednesday Worlds as well yesterday. Interesting enough, and was had a good time. It looked like, well, had a good as I think he upgraded recently. But yeah, I think that line that he also has that you mentioned is indoor specific, which is kind of cool. I think it's pretty cool. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it's one of the only brands, or the only brand in the entire world, that is only indoor specific. Like that's what they're focused on completely. So
Mm.
that's pretty cool that it was built off of that. Seeing as he is, extremely into the Zwift world, obviously. But it's a brand that's born off of the Zwift world. As a side note, now level 60, I believe there is going to be something pretty cool that you're going to be able to get at level 60. I don't see it in. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head exactly what it is. You'll have to get there. So, letting everybody know though, make sure to go chasing that. You also have a new workout UI
Yes.
in the home screen to be able to find
Oh,
all of that stuff that you're looking for. And it's all like, right now I was talking about, well, I don't know which menu it's under, right? I kind of mentioned that in the
mhm.
beginning of like how I search for the workouts I'm looking for, but now it looks like they're really nicely placed
Yeah.
within their specific genre of what you're trying to do with your workouts in a nice little box that you can click on and go find them.
Yeah, I've got a bit to talk about with this, especially being a coach. So I for a while, and I've been pretty vocal on the forums, I have always kind of been of the opinion that Zwift and Trainer Road should merge. And the cool parts about Trainer Road workouts should be in Zwift. But then it kind of looked like that would never happen. Because I coach a couple of athletes who are on Trainer Road, and I like the kind of formats of the workouts, the way you can find them, which is awesome. Whereas with my athletes that I coach who are on Zwift, which is the majority of them, I would say, hey, choose this folder and find a workout with a stress score that is kind of in between this, and do that. So it's a little bit more sort of clunky. Whereas now, the user interface is great. So you can, from what I'm looking at, you can select from a box drop down in a search kind of function. Look, I want to do 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes, 60 to 90, or 90 minutes or more. But the crucial part is then you can filter on, I want it very easy, moderate, difficult, very difficult. So if I'm looking at training my athletes, I would say, okay, we're in a base phase. I want you to pick a 60 to 90-minute workout, and I want it to be in the easy category. And then if we're in a build or speed phase, hey, I want it to be 60 minutes, but I want you to be going difficult. Or hey, we're in a speed or a stretch phase right before, like sharpening before your race. I want it to be very difficult, but only 30 minutes. So this, from a coach point of view, and even myself just going on, is like game changer. I think it's
Mm.
awesome. I think the filtering, they've always said like, we've got, hundreds of workouts, but it's always been a bit tricky to find the right one. And I'm going in like all these subfolders and trying to find them. This is, yeah, perfect. Spot on. Love it.
It does assist coaches 100% as a coach myself too. The idea of being able to, a lot of times, a lot of time is spent with my athletes like, well, let's find the right workout for what you want to do, like not what you want, but like what we need to do right now, but something that you're around in your training program right now. And that ability, as you said, to just to grab and go around a whole host of workouts. Well, this looks like it might be fun for what I want to do. that's so awesome to be able to just point people at that. It also takes a little bit of pressure off of us having to write all the workouts in zwoworkouts.com or whatever those
Oh,
are as well. But, and then when you want to really sharpen the knife and get down to like race day, then you can go ahead and build something custom as well, which is a lot of
yeah,
times when I'm getting my athletes ready for something really, really specific. But I think for me and my athletes, really that base to early build phase, you can throw a lot of like, here, just go do whatever in this area, in this range, find something like that, or we'll find it with you. It just saves so much time. So really, really
yeah.
awesome in that front for sure. The new workout UI. And then
Oh.
we got a lot of teaser here. Okay. We got a lot of, it was mainly tease. But Urikazi is on its way. New
Wait,
McCurry. Oh, what else do we have? Oh, sorry.
what?
Okay, you want to go?
Route-based
Okay,
workouts.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. Sorry,
sorry.
we'll go in.
We'll go
There's a
that
few
way.
workouts. The other thing that I was very excited about before I absolutely lose my mind about the new map is the route-based workouts. So I'm really intrigued to kind of try this because I think I get in my head, I think what it is. I just want to see it for myself when I'm out there. But it looks as though similar to kind of what we've done with these baseline and finish line rides. And I think, remember when we talked to Kate from Zwift a few weeks ago about Zwift Academy, and I said, what you're doing with that baseline and finish line, I would love to have access to that. And it looks like this is kind of what they're doing. It's a route-based workout. And they talked a lot about, which kind of talks back to what you and Jen talked about last week with regard to perceived effort as opposed to FTP. So it's just riding the course. And I know like Evo Cycling Club does this as well, Evolution Cycling Club. They'll do a workout, but it's course-based. And so this is why I'm kind of intrigued. What I think it is, and I hope it is you go, hey, I'm going to do Legends in Lava today, and I'm going to set my sort of holographic PR, and I want that hologram to be going in front of me for those 3 segments, and it's that kind of a workout. So again, like Alp de Zwift, I know heaps of people have immediately, they're sort of like, great, it will be good for Alp de Zwift. It would be, because you, like the race I did, there was someone who was 30 seconds up the road and someone who was 30 seconds behind me. It's very hard to pace. Whereas if you have your own personal little pace partner out there and you go, I've got a 20-minute or a 1-hour effort, I just want that person there to follow a wheel at a certain time. So, and it's kind of like what I did with Liz Van Houweling, but with your own pace partner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly. So when it comes to, okay, it sounds like you had 2 different things there, kind of. One thing is the baseline idea of being able to do a segment specifically, but then there's the holographic blue pace partner or your race yourself. So that's essentially they're bringing back the blue AI, but it's you on a segment only, though, specifically on a segment only. And you can race either your 90-day PR, okay, or your most, I believe it's your most recent is what those are your 2. There's like a 2 options thing there where you can go in, and if you don't have a 90-day PR, I think it is your most recent then is what's going to load up for you on segments specifically. So if you're on the example I saw of this was on the Fuego Flats sprint. The AI, the little AI would load up when you wanted to race this AI through that section, and it would bring up your 90-day PR or what you had just done. And you can actually race yourself over and over again through that segment and try and better it right there on time. And from what I hear, when they were testing this, they actually discovered that they wanted to have the ability to race yourself over and over again in like a short succession, that the testers were having so much fun rather than just trying to hit their 90-day PR. They were like, I just want to try and race what I just did over and over again. So
Yeah,
like just beat yourself over and over again.
So I've got 2 things more to talk about on this one. One is, and I've seen the chat coming in, it would be great to see a course pace partner. So I'm assuming by segment, it's purely sprint KQOE, we're not looking at, say, you get the orange jersey if you do like Watopia Hilly and you do it in the fastest time, you get the orange jersey. I'm assuming that's not counted as a segment.
I wonder. I think that's a segment. I'm
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that that's a segment, but I'll have to double check on that. But I think it's anywhere that you have a section that you can get a time for in the little side banner, like with the jerseys, with the orange, the whole triple jerseys that you can jump up on with the KOM as
Now
well as the
the
sprint, etc.
yeah.
As well.
So I kind of I'd wonder about that. So that's what I'll try out. Sorry, I'm getting there's a lot of chat coming in too that yes, it's now been called the Liz Van Houweling leg snapper course would be perfect for this. Absolutely. Like so good because it's that perfect race, like the 1 minute, well, the 45 to 1 minute power, then a recovery, and then you got your pacer for the sprint, another recovery. So I think that course is perfect. The other thing I wanted to cover, because once I saw this news last night, I delved a bit deeper into what else is going on around there. And I actually found out, and it's two different strategies here that they're doing. So Zwift is using sort of in-game PRs. Then I saw that actually got released yesterday as well. So interesting timing. Ruby is bringing in Strava live segments. So if you check out DC Rainmaker, that was kind of an alternate way that they're doing it. And I guess it's the opinion, Nathan, is, which do we like? It's like a full in game, which is what Zwift is doing, versus partnering with a sort of alternate platform. And they're bringing in their pay spot is based on a Strava segment. So they're putting Strava segments into Ruby. So then they're pacing off that. I feel like I like the idea. If you're really into Strava, it's cool. But I think it would be very hard in Zwift with the amount of segments and everything going on. I think it could end up a little bit error ridden, I would say, if you're trying to bring in another sort of entity into this.
I averaged on similar. So here's the problem for me. Indoor and outdoor are totally different. Like not just like
Mm.
game dynamics wise. Like you can go into the game CRR, the how much drag there is on the avatar, whether or not the physics are the same, right? That's like
Mhm.
third level, right? That's like you could talk about, but just from a coach standpoint, if you weren't even in a virtual world and I put you on a trainer and I put you outside, I would have different expectations of your wattage outputs. Okay? Like
Yeah.
that to try and match those two from a training perspective is absolutely ridiculous to me. Like I mean, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And anyone who tries to
Yeah.
argue with me like that, I'm going to be like, sorry, as an athlete and coach for the last whatever 20 years or something, I rarely ever and don't even trust an athlete that they're doing right RP psychological stuff with themselves if they have the same power from one to the other or are trying to match them or that the
Mm.
indoor is better. I go, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
You're if the indoor is
Mhm.
better, you're just riding your bike wrong outside. I'm sorry. Like because
Yeah. Yeah.
and then trying to match like if you have a trainer and a power meter like outside, it's like those are different power sources too. Like how are you going to match Strava segments and try and race those? It just doesn't equate. Like cool if you have fun with
Yeah.
that in your head, but you're just playing games in your head to do like that's not even like a real thing. So and then you go to the next level of like now you're trying to make the game physics to get the speeds the same to some Strava segment. Like, sorry, man. Like, that's just way off from like, you want to remove reality from what's the actual function of what you're trying to do. That's just so far away. Keep it within the same world and the
And
same exercise space that you're in.
yeah, you're getting a lot of agreement through all the chat. I kind of was I had no opinion. I was just like, oh, it's just two different ways that this has been done. But I tend to agree. I like it all being nicely in one environment and you're yeah, I agree. I think what Zwift has done is spot on. I think people are going to be really excited. I'm probably going to rip my legs off, like you said, having too much fun going, oh, can I do it better? Can I do it better? Can I do it better? So yeah, I'm pretty excited for this one. And
I mean, we're talking a
what
20-watt
I'm
difference, Anna. Like for me, like just on a
yeah,
3 hour set, and that's on a 3 hour the other day. Like that's a
yeah.
huge difference. So sorry, I just like that's. Go ahead. I it's
Oh, yeah, yeah. I've riled you up, Nathan.
You did, because I'm pretty passionate about that one. I've had a lot of arguments with a lot of clients, like ripping my hair out, like, please understand what I'm trying to help you with right now. Like, oh my God.
Oh no. So last thing of the new updates, then we will talk with our guest, and then we will come back and round out with a bit of the new UCI Worlds pathway that also got announced. But new map. Now it's Wurukazi is what I think it is. How it's
Urakazi. I
pronounced.
thought it was
Wurukazi.
Urakazi. I thought it was
It is,
Urakazi.
but I think the U is pronounced WOO.
Oh,
Wurukazi.
okay.
Wurukazi. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I've done a bit of looking into it. Looks beautiful with the rainbows and the water, and it's just, I mean, who doesn't like new roads? I think it's very exciting. I think it's coming November time, so right in time for sort of the season, people going out and getting all their route badges, and the route badges will mean more now because you're going to get all those XP points, which will take you up to level 60 faster. So very exciting. Now, the thing that I found in a bit of the reading I did is a new surface. So there's going to be a bit of tarmac, a bit of dirt, and then a new surface not found anywhere else in any world currently. Now, you probably know what it is because you've got the inside word on a lot of this stuff, but pretend like you don't. And I mean, what can we conjecture here from what this new surface is? I mean, I'm like, well, it's not dirt. We've got that in jungle. It's not kind of, well, I'm assuming gravel. I don't really think we've got that, do we?
Yeah, interesting. Like, I think maybe a throwback to that map that we saw that we talked about on Zwiftcast that was kind of like a gravel mountain route or something along those lines. Maybe they're going to transfer that over, perhaps, cuz and I wouldn't be surprised because right now we have mountain bike, we have dirt, and we have road, and then we have some cobbles, but we don't have a gravel specific, and with gravel being so big
Mhm.
right now, perhaps that's the like marketing is alongside of that, perhaps? Or are we going to see something that's more mountain bike specific? That could be the other side of it too. That there is right now, it's kind of like pick your mountain bike, pick your gravel bike for one type of road, right? It isn't like
Yeah.
those two are going to excel on two different types of roads, and you would actually want one over the other on those different types of roads. So I have a feeling that may be where we're trying to have some differentiation.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
We've got chat coming in saying sand. Get a bit of
Ooh.
cyclocross sand action. That could be a bit of fun.
That's what no, that's for the runners. I think that's where you guys already have your space. That's you just get off and run.
Oh, there's a few people saying sand, gravel or sand. Imagine Zwift steering with sand. You'd be like, whoa, whoa, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Like,
there were some cool ideas coming through, and this is not something. This isn't Zwift. This is like hanging out with Eric Schlange and Zwift Insider and talking cool mountain bike type ideas. And he actually did a little article on like what could come down the road if we were to get, what's your best dream of what Zwift could do with mountain biking and the ability to really take on a course in some fun ways. But that's going down a whole nother. But yeah, that would be really cool. I think to add some sand pit type stuff or sand that you have to really find the right power or use the right power to get through, or
mm,
you fail or you slow way down. I mean, that would be really that would make
yeah,
the
it'd be
mountain bike
so
courses
slow.
really interesting. That's for sure. One thing I want to give a shout out to is the Yurokazi is actually uh two Okinawan words. So it's actually based off of the island of Okinawa, just off of
Hmm.
Japan, which is, for those that know, just a little Nathan history. All of my training started through training Goju-Ryu karate, which originated with the original Mr. Miyagi out of Okinawa. And my uncle had a direct line of the tradition of training karate actually from this man, Miyagi, and was one
Wow.
of the top dons of America and one of the people who learned through that line from Okinawa and Goju-Ryu karate, actually. So I thought it was really cool. All of a sudden, we were in our meeting talking about this update, and they started talking about Okinawa, and I was like, whoa, cool, you guys. I have like this kind of like history with Okinawa. Like, and I had to read like the whole history of karate because it was very traditional karate. Like, it wasn't like belt farming, marketing USA style. It was like
Wow.
it was like tradition. It was like religion almost for it. You know what I mean? And so I had to read like how karate even started and know the whole thing and everything. So that was kind of cool. I thought for me personally that this was inspired by
Well,
Okinawa.
there we go. There's you can do your Twitch ride on the new route talking about the history of karate from Okinawa.
And then they'll be like, "What are you talking about?" But so I was like, so then I like actually asked, "Are you guys gonna do anything that's kind of like not Karate Kid the movie, but like, are you gonna do any like thing in game as far as artistic wise or anything that kind of has a shout out to karate? Because that's the home, that's like the birthplace of it."
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe go find some Easter eggs when you're riding those new routes. Got the inside word from Amy Mundasev, who's in the chat, that she saw a couple of days ago some new route badges in the running side of things. And that's how she saw that there was a new course coming. So there's some new routes already kind of popping up a little bit around the place in game. So I'm sure people will go and find what those are and start planning their route badging for early November. But I think. Yeah, that's probably all the new Zwift stuff on that side of things covered. Shall we
Yeah, and
chat
then
with
we've got a whole nother thing to
Gina?
talk about
I
later too.
know.
It's like boom, 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 over and over again. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring our guest in. We are really happy to have Gina Van Rossum. Gina, let me know, did I pronounce that correctly? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I always love how non-Dutch people try to pronounce my name. So
Oh.
Van Rossum, it actually is.
Van Rossum. Van Rossum. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Closer. Yeah, closer. Close
Closer,
enough as well.
close enough. Got it. Thanks so much, Gina. I appreciate the correction 100%. Gina, you are a psychologist and you're also obviously a very avid Zwifter because ain't nobody setting up the stream setup that we've got next to us for Team NL over there. If they're not pretty into the world of Zwift racing. And it looks like, I mean, you've got the in real life kit matching the in game kit as well. You've been Zwifting for a while, it looks like, and as well as a psychologist. So you want to give us just a quick, like, what's your professional life? And then a real quick as well, Zwift life, up like where you're coming from on both those fronts.
Yeah, so I actually studied work and organizational psychology here at Maastricht University, and always been way into sports. My dad actually was an amateur mountain biker, and he still loves to mountain bike. I've always been more the endurance type, so I liked to go slow pace, but let's say 100K in the weekends was like a no-brainer. I would always do that in the weekends. And then Corona hit us, and my university work actually became online work. Everything, lectures, groups with students, everything became online. And of course, the sports centers closed. And I did have like a dumb trainer, let's say, set up at home. And I was watching, I don't know what I was watching, but there was this Zwift commercial on, and I thought, okay, I need to upgrade and I need to get myself into this because, you know, looks amazing. That's when it all started. So basically, I started with Corona and never stopped. Even at work now, they know not to plan me on the, well, for me, Tuesday mornings, like APAC timing during ZRL. So I never have any lectures then. I never have any groups then. My colleagues know that I am not reachable because I am racing.
Nice. I
That's
love
I
that.
think a good background. Yeah.
So, Gina, you actually messaged me during the week and said, I love the show. This is really great. And I was like, you are a psychologist, aren't you? I would love to talk to a psychologist on the show. Reason being, last week we had this sort of medical health side of Zwift racing. And we do have, I mean, it's pretty much 10 days away. I've seen Si's already put up his recon videos and that got me excited. So we're pretty, Zwift racing is around the corner. We've got the world stuff announced. So people will be kind of getting ready for qualifiers. And we took a lot of what we learned last week into practice around recovery and health. But what came to forefront is I was talking with someone over the weekend and they do all of that stuff right. but then they get to the race and they almost self-sabotage or get so worried, or they don't actually end up wanting to race because they've become so debilitatingly nervous. And I thought, you know what, it'd be good to actually talk about the mindset side, because that, in my mind, is equally important. So I guess, what's I know your background's in organizational psych, and you do a lot of stuff around that LBGTI plus community. I've probably got that totally wrong. So
Yeah.
you're a lot on diversification, but I know that as well. When I sent you the questions, you're like, oh, I'd love to talk about this. And with your racing side as well, I think you offer quite a unique perspective. So I think, you know, give us a bit of a flavor around, what is mindset and how does it actually impact our racing performance?
I think it is everything. So mindset is basically everything. If you go into something, you think, "Oh, I can never keep up," or I'm gonna suffer and I'm gonna go last. If that's your mindset from the start, I actually think you'll do worse than if you maybe set yourself some different goals as well. So not focus on what maybe you can't do, but focus on what maybe you can do, and then it changes a lot already. I think that whole outcome of the race.
Yeah. And if you look at yourself having that background, what do you do? What are some strategies leading into sort of Zwift races, which can be really nerve wracking, to get into the best performance state?
Yeah, I think you're saying that really well. So you have the moment like leading up to the race, and I would definitely see that different from during or maybe even after the race. What I personally do before the race is I love my numbers. So I would go into Swift Power and actually look up my competition, who is matching with me regarding the 20-minute, the 5-minute, the 1 minute, the 30-second like numbers, and I would match myself with somebody that I think, okay, we have the same abilities. I should be able to on a good day or a normal day, I should be able to stick to you, keep up with you in the sprints or in a climb. And you can do this, by the way, if you're top of your category, in the middle of your category, or even like in the bottom of your category. I think you can always find somebody that you can match a little bit and where you can play your own little game with them. That's me though. So I know this works really well for me. And if I know the numbers, if I know the course, if I know where the segments are coming, I feel calm. Still I have the nerves, right? The healthy jitters, but I feel calm because I know what I can expect from the course, what I can expect from my competition, and I think I've done the things that I can actually control. Then I also know people that really hate it because they get so overwhelmed with knowing everything and knowing everything that's to come that they actually get more nervous. And that's, I think, the thing with psychology. Most of the times, you have people from whom that kind of therapy or that kind of thing works really well. And then others who would say, okay, now you're making me crazy. Like, I don't get what you're doing here because this doesn't work for me.
Mm.
So what I recommend is basically find something that works well for you to actually calm yourself down before the race. I have teammates that actually like listening to music. I have teammates that just like talking a little bit about their day and they go from there. I have teammates who basically think, okay, I'm just going to see what happens today. This is fun for me. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. If I finish last, I finish last. If that works for you and you're happy with doing that, that's the way to go. So yeah, figure out something that works for you and go from there.
I have a question then on the idea of conscientiousness, and like this idea of like I function well in chaos. Like I like chaos, okay? And other people don't like function much better in order, right? And they're much more conscientious, right? And so me and Anna are probably very different. Me and Gabby are really different in this area as well, where like
Yeah.
my rewards as well as knowing my talent, right? So there's two things I wanted to bring up here. I have a little bit of like, I did study psychology a little bit and change majors or whatever at a certain point. But the idea of a reward system, right? Like setting yourself up for a good reward system. Because I was talented in mountain biking, I showed up to my citizen race and I won my first citizen race, right? And that created a reward system of like, I can do this and I'll show up and I'll win. And then when I started not hitting that expectation any longer, I had a history though of a reward system that told me if I do this, I'll get that, right? But if somebody shows up to a reward system that they just immediately are a failure, right? So you set up an expectation in an A race or a B race or whatever it might be, and you look at these numbers that are way beyond you, and then bam, it's like, oh, that was not a reward at all. Like, you're not going to want to risk into that space, right? Into that chaotic space, into that lack of control. Because I know that I'll get some sort of reward at least to get better or be able to kind of compete and find a way to get better. It doesn't feel impossible, and it kind of can be really motivating then, right? But I would think that that reward system isn't set up well intellectually, right? In how we approach it, that where the goals are to be met, that you could just think this is impossible and say throw in the towel, Gina.
I think two things I take from that. One, find your motivation. I think you found your motivation with your goal system. And there's other people finding motivation with other things, right? So I do well with indeed setting goals, but then that's the second point I think you mentioned is setting achievable goals. I want to go back to I think an interview that I saw on the Tour de France from Pogacar. He was not like he was in the white jersey. That was not the jersey that he wanted. And I think in the interview he said, you know what? I'm just going to go all out and see what happens. I think that's a perfect goal, to be honest. That's a perfect goal because if you set yourself some kind of wattage, right? And then you're not having your best day, you're not going to reach that watts. You're not going to reach those watts. You're not going to reach those watt per kilos, and you set yourself up for failure, maybe. Although if I set a goal where I say, okay, I just want to go all out, I want to do everything that I can on this segment or on this, I don't know, you have 6 sprints. Sometimes we have something crazy like six sprints in one race. Okay, I'm going to go for 1, 3, and of course the final one, 6. If I do that, I can go all out in all of them, never get one of my PRs, but still I've met my goal because I have done it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of maybe a different example. If you're climbing, sometimes you get really strung out in the field, right? And then it becomes, I can really motivate myself to make it a goal to get back to the person that's in front of me. I can also really make it a goal that if somebody actually catches me, to actually stick on their wheel for as long as I can. And then again, I'm not setting myself a goal like I need to stick to this person's wheel per se, but I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to stick to them for as long as I can. That changes the motivation and the ability to reach your goal.
I think it's a really interesting point, and I know I can see some chat coming in too that, the goal for people that doesn't fail them is just to go and have some fun. And I agree. I sort of have 2 mantras that I go into racing with, whether it's in real life or on Zwift. Is the first one is a quote, I think it was from Michael Jordan, which is, what is my favorite part of the game? The opportunity to play. And so I think it's always that feeling of being blessed that you can actually get on a bike and you can actually get in and race. You're not injured, you're not sick, you don't have, crazy stuff in your life that's keeping you off the bike. So that's the first part, is always to have that kind of feeling of like, I'm actually blessed to even just get here and be on a start line and do this. And then the second one is, what's the worst that can happen? I get dropped on a virtual gaming platform riding my bike. I mean, if that's the worst thing that's happened in my life today, like my life is pretty damn good. So I think it's taking that thing of having some fun to be like, there's not much bad that's going to happen here, you know?
Yeah, and that's also why one of the reasons why I really love the indoor racing. If I go over my limit, I am not somewhere out in the woods or on the streets, and I can't get back to my home. And I'm safe. If I really go over my limit, I can stop, and nothing really bad will happen to me because I'm at home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
100%. Go ahead, Gina.
No, you go.
Yeah.
Lost my thought anyway.
No, it's fine. So the one I really liked the dynamic changing of the goals you brought in there too, and being able to find the rewards in the middle of a situation. Like a lot of times, if I go and I hit Watopia Mountain for some efforts for intervals because I like the uphill, and then the day isn't exactly what the kind of day that I had expected, I shift the goal in my mindset of like, this is my body is the expectation. In coaching, a lot of times, I think that rigid idea of like, there is a program out there that I have to match to, right? Like, I've got to go match that program because that's how you win, is that program, rather than like, my body's the program. My body is actually the thing that is going to dictate what it needs to get the highest performance. And I need, and the highest level of coaching that's out there for like a Tour de France rider is going to be a person who is available to them hour to hour, right? Like they probably have a coach that's readily available to them all the time, because what they need is going to be changing to what their body state is at all times, right? And so we have to have a mindset of like, going into these intervals, today my body might need this, and the program that is hard and rigid on paper out there isn't going to define. It's just something we're aiming at to know this is a general thing that I need to go after. Whereas on that day, it might be 320 watts and not 350, or it might be 250 and not 280 or whatever. And the goal changes to get the work done. It might even end up being a rest day. And my body is going, hey, that's what needs to happen today. Like we talked about over the weekend, Anna. We both changed what we were up to specifically to hit a goal still, though. And we came out of it happy, satisfied, and there's still a reward that we can get out of that to be happy and motivated about our training and not feel like, oh, it's the end. Because I used to be that athlete that would drive myself into the ground to get sick every January because I wasn't hitting the hours and the numbers that I thought I was supposed to be hitting. And then you get even more demotivated because everything went downhill from getting sick.
I think one thing that we all need to realize is that you can't be 100% all of the time. And actually, if you sometimes take yourself back to 80%, you can then be 110 or 120% even on a different day. So it's the same what you just said with the weightlifting, right? So it's true for your mind and your body as well, I think. The other thing I just picked up on is probably that you have pre, during, and post race, but you can also even get one step further back. I worked myself up to B last ZRL season, whole seasons, and now I actually set myself a goal, which is approaching on the 9th of September, to actually go up Ventoux from all 3 different sides. That meant that I kind of needed to lose maybe a little bit of my punch and really work on endurance. I got back into C, and I worked really hard over winter to get into B. But I also know that next winter I can get back into B, or hopefully I can. But it seems promising. And even one step further back and see, okay, is this my goal? Is this race my main goal? Or do I have something that I think is even more important?
Absolutely. And I think maybe a last question for you here, Gina, as well, which I know a few people struggle with. You know, you look at the round of ZRL, 6 races to start off with, or you even look at sort of Nathan's Wednesday Worlds, a race each week. You know, if you've had, say, a race and it just has not gone well, you know, you got dropped early or you really didn't hit the power numbers you wanted, but you're racing in a week's time, what are some strategies people can do in that week to get their mind shifted so they're not sitting in the start pen the week later going, oh, last week I was terrible, I'm going to be terrible today? How do you like refresh and revive and just start clean slate mentally back into that positive mindset?
So I think you'll find that if you ZRLs raced in teams, and the thing that I really love about racing in teams is that you form a bond together. I mean, you suffer together, and as soon as you suffer together, you form a bond together. So if you ever feel like, okay, I did not really do my best, talk to your teammates about it. You will see that they can be very good in actually helping you get out of a certain mindset. The other thing is that I really like to post race, especially if things have gone well, not as planned for me, but also if things have gone really well. I want to know why I think that it didn't go as well or why it did go really well. For instance, I have figured out that I should not eat anything half an hour before starting my warm up. Like basically, the hour before my race starts, I should not eat anything, because if I do, I get the feeling of being sick. And I didn't notice that pattern, but I only noticed that after I started evaluating. Okay, what are the ones that actually what did I do before my race when it actually went badly?
Yeah.
So I think that is the main thing. Like, try and analyze your race. Did you blow up at some point? Did you go maybe too fast in one of the first segments? Did you blow up even at the start? Because I think some of the starts can be really, really tough. And as soon as you know that, you can actually start training on something like that, and training on your weaknesses, and go from there and see how that works for you.
Well,
So again, it's
I
like
want
what
to
you
take
said.
away.
What's
Oh,
in?
sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead, Anna.
sorry. Yeah, you find out afterwards what was in your control. What were those things in your control that you shouldn't have done? Change it for the next time, and then you can start clean slate. Is kind of what I got from that.
100%.
Yeah,
That's the science
absolutely.
is coming
Yeah.
out of it, of the psychology there. That sounds like a perfect experiment. That sounds like
Yeah.
essentially. And I've always been called the lab rat in my house. He's got this lab that he just like figures out how to make himself stronger in. Like one takeaway, we got to move on to our next topic for 100%. But one takeaway for sure I want from Gina there is when you suffer together, you form a bond together. That one,
Yeah.
that's a whole awesome takeaway. Like I want that one liner just plastered across the ZCL. When you suffer together, you form a bond together. Talk to your teammates. You can get a lot of good
Yeah,
therapy out of
absolutely.
that suffer session that it sounds like.
Absolutely.
I love it, Gina. All right, Gina, we're going to move on to World's Pathway, but thank you so much for joining in with us. Make sure
Thanks,
to go check
Gina.
out Gina's live stream as well as all things TMNL. You can go find it over on YouTube. Gina, feel free to link that in the chat if you'd like to, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot, Gina.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Of course. All right, so Gina, awesome to have her on and get the perspective and talk a little bit of psychology, as well as get a look into Team NL. They've been around a long time, and we've worked with them here and there. Absolutely love that team. Such a passionate team, the Dutch, when it comes to cycling and the whole. I mean, they've been around the whole Zwift community live scene. I think 2016, 2017, even way back. So really cool to have one of their team members on and talk psychology and racing.
Yeah, and she got a few fans out there saying that she's great to race with. I've commentated her for the last, 3 years with the APAC division. She was racing in that. So it's been really good to actually meet her and have some chat with her. So that was, we'll have to come in with the show next week and say what our learning was mentality wise of what we've done to change things up. So keep that in the back of your mind, Nathan. But talking about mentality, just reading.
Homework. Like, this is like...
Sorry, I give you homework. I even just reading this is making me nervous because I'm actually going for qualification into the New Zealand team to race in Esport Worlds. So I'm reading this going, oh, and I start to immediately feel nervous. So I definitely need some mindset tricks here. But yeah, continental qualifiers.
UCI
racing,
Cycling Esport
trying to
World
get in,
Championship,
yeah.
February 2023. Eric Schlange, he puts it open, innovative, and Zwifty. Open pathway, new race formats, custom designed course. there's a lot going on with this.
Can I say the thing that has jumped out at me straight away? Because I mean, you can go there and you can find out how you can qualify. There's a pathway, whether it's through your national federation or whether it's through your continental qualifiers or whether you're a prem racer and you can get into that. There's a lot of detail there. One thing that jumped out at me really quickly, which I love, is that it says here the continental qualifiers will be formatted similarly to the 2023 Esport Worlds, with 3 individual races taking place on separate routes. Now, and then saying race fields will shrink as riders are eliminated based on finishing positions. Now, if that is the format of 2023 Esport Worlds, which is what Eric is saying here in this article, oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. This is what I have been wanting. I was part of the Zwift knockouts trialing formats earlier in the year. And yes, I love just what Zwift is doing. I know Eric's got another article there about the new Premier division coming up. And again, similar race formats. I love it. The strategy that they're doing, and I've thought this for a while, and I bet you'll agree with me, I bet the community will mostly agree, is I think Zwift for a while was trying too long to be road racing in a virtual world. So it was that 40 to 50K or 60K for worlds, just a scratch race. Whoever can finish first is the winner. And it's like, that's cool, but we watch that every weekend in real life. Like, this is esport. This is different. Let's make this more innovative and exciting. And they have done this. It is so cool. I love these formats. Short, punchy races, exciting. You have got to become, you can't just be a great road racer and come in and be good at this. You have to know your racecraft. You have to know your power-ups. You have to know how to get in on a draft and, have the right camera angles, all of that kind of stuff. So I don't know what you think, Nathan, but that jumped out at me immediately as a great change this time around.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with you. And what they've done is so for those of you that had a Sega Genesis or a Nintendo, you'll know what I'm talking about. Until they have Road Rash or Mario Kart, right? We have to have something like this, right? Because if we had Road Rash or Mario Kart, we could push each other off our bikes and get excited in the middle. Like, we could throw things at people or do whatever, but we can't do those kinds of things to make a 50K scratch race all that interesting, right? And so there's the reality that this, and also the buildup and the excitement of race 1, 100 starters, right? Race 2, 36 starters in the pathway. This is the pathway. In race 3, 15 starters. 7 qualifiers get through. The way that they've put even the extra ability to win a spot by getting a prize in the middle of it, though, like take the risk and take the fastest sprint, or get the there's different ways that you can get into the qualifier as well that are super, super awesome. But I really like how it's getting down to finding the best at this specific format as well, because it is that knockout format. So it's still finding a racer who can specifically aim at Zwift racing, and the way that they're kind of defining Zwift racing at this point. On the world side of things and the qualifying side of things, they look really similar. What I'm really hyped about is that moment where we're down to 30 starters and 17 riders are limited, 13 get through. Then we're down to just, after enough elimination, there's 3 riders left. And you're down to these last 3 riders, and one of them is going to be a world champion, right?
I know.
And that, I just got to say, the whole of esports was built off of, we're going to have the international just got announced for some of their stuff, right? Dota International, Defense of the Ancients, largest esport in the world, $45 million prize pool or something like that, right? That's how they're popular. Bracket knockouts in a tournament style. It's all on the line over and over and over and over again. That's exactly what we're seeing here. That kind of cutthroat at the point of playoffs. I think this is going to be so good for Zwift racing.
Oh, it is. I couldn't rave on more about how much I love that they've done this, because if it was just a sort of another 60K, riding around a course, I was just like, I actually don't know if I can watch that. It's just not that entertaining. And this is great. Like, if I'm looking, I've done an elimination race as part of that knockout stuff. They are so hard to get right. Like, there's that, and I'm so glad I get to practice this, hopefully through the sort of Prem League stuff, if they're going down the same route, which I imagine they would be, is do you sit off the back saving energy and then just edge in front of the last rider at the last minute? But you're risking a lot. It's that risk and reward, right? Sort of you've managed to save watts and recover in a draft, but you are risking a lot. You could end up last doing that. And then at what point in the race, when you get down to a certain number, do you just not do that strategy anymore? It's basically every sprint is all in to ensure you get that top position. So there's so many tactics here that are at play to be able to do this right. Looking at the qualifiers, I mean, race 2, a hill climb scratch race on a new Innsbruck route, which is leaving the pens, going over the sprint in a reverse way, then going reverse up the leg snapper, and then hitting the main climb. Holy, that is a tough course. Like 25 minutes. I mean, you've done that. There'll be people who will try and split the field on the leg snapper, and then you're just finishing on a climb that's around sort of 6 to 8%. And this is 100% trainer difficulty, I would imagine too, that there's something that is not mentioned, but I would imagine there'll be a restriction like that you've got to set it at 100%. Hard climb. And then you go into Crit City. I mean, talk about blowing the legs apart.
Yeah, it's really gonna. And if anybody who's like, "Oh, well, this isn't gonna really test cycling," no, this is gonna test anybody's mettle. But like, I mean,
Oh,
and the smartest rider too. View 3. Come on, Aim Labs, PacerBot. There are gonna be people out there that are just gonna be working their View 3 like crazy. Anna, you know it. I had to get that in there. I had to get that in there because they gotta reserve all that energy. Go watch my Aim Lab streams. You're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. On fairness, too, real quickly, Anna's got a hard stop here, so we got to get moving. But it's also really cool that they're really saying up front, if you want to go through qualifiers, show up on these trainers because this is what is accepted. So we've got all that down. I really love it that they're doing everything up front to say if you want to get through those first 100 starters, they're doing a good job on that front for the Continentals. So shout out to Zwift on that as well. Super excited. Man, I almost want to do this, but I think I can't, which is also exciting because I might be able to scream into a microphone about it. So that'll be fun as well.
Oh, yeah. I think it's, I was actually going to say, I'm sending it straight after this. I'm sending the Zwift Insider article to my dad because he's so into this kind of stuff. And I'm like, can you come down and be that person who's like spraying me with like misty water and like kind of make a joke of it? Like just have it so set up, like misted water, someone else pushing my power ups and just having this whole like team around me and make it look like really intimidating.
That'd be so cool, actually.
Of
course, that'd be so cool. All right, let's move on.
Team of 20.
We gotta keep moving here. Here we go. So Pathway to Esports Worlds, that's where it's at. Go check out the Zwift Insider article just released today. Well, Fashion of the Week. This is an interesting one. And Anna has in the notes here, worst kit ever? Like, is this actually going to be the worst kit ever? Digi Camo 3 kit? What level is this unlocked? I can't remember.
No, I don't even know. So I
so
was
you forgot.
around,
like the moment you got it, you're like, oh, forget. I don't even care what level this is.
I saw someone ride past me with this kit on the other day, and I looked and was like, is that the worst kit on Zwift? I've always talked about the best kit, but I thought it'd be good to give an example of a worst kit. I mean, I don't mind the original camo one, but the Digi camo, I mean, it just is so muddled up. It's brown. It's got weird aqua kind of blue cuffs and collar. It matches with, as you can see here, absolutely nothing.
It doesn't even match itself. It doesn't even match itself.
It's all over the shop. I mean, how would you match this? Maybe a blue Tron. And I mean, I've got the white shoes and white socks. It looks terrible. The headband looks terrible.
Not to get offended, Zwift, or anything, but like some kits got to take this award, right? So like,
yeah.
That's just reality. I don't know. If you can find a worse kit, let us know.
Tell me.
Yeah, let us know. Jump on Instagram, jump on the socials, tag us up. We want to know if you can find a worse kit than Digi Camo 3 kit. We would love to know. And then we've got the garage pick of the week. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, so this is,
The
I mean, maybe
creator of
this
the mountain
is.
gloves. When is it okay to
Oh,
wear
look how
these?
terrible
When
that
is it
looks.
okay to wear these is in the notes. Oh my gosh. It's just everything is like this is critical fashion. This is not fashion week. This is critical fashion week.
This is critical fashion. So, the reason I had this, and it's a legit question, when is it okay to wear these? I know Megan Isler, one of my teammates, wears them all the time, and I always give her a bit of grief for it. But I was riding up Alp to Zwift. I got the gloves at the top. I mean, I've had them forever. You get them at the top of the Alp. So that's cool. It's kind of like I've ridden the Alp, and that's awesome. They don't really go with a lot. And so I've kind of outlined what I think are the when you can wear these gloves. One, when you're going up Alp to Zwift or Ventop for a bit of, we talked about mindset, maybe for a bit of motivation, as in I'm a mountain climber today and I've got my polka dot gloves on. Two, if you get the polka dot jersey in game, so you've done something fast, you can quickly zip into your garage and chuck the gloves on so it matches. That would look really nice together. And then I would say three, if you're doing a climbing challenge. So if there was like a Mount Fuji climbing challenge, there's a Halt Route climbing challenge. So if you're like specifically doing events that are climbing related, I think you can wear these gloves. Any other time, I would say no.
I just don't have an opinion on these gloves. I mean, my only opinion is it looks like you've got chicken pox. Like, I guess
Yeah.
that's my only opinion. You just look like you might be sick. But I mean,
Yeah.
the KOM gloves, I mean, trying to match a KOM glove to it's almost too much polka dot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Like
it's got the blue there as well. Why? There's like an aqua blue on the gloves
yeah,
too.
these were
It's
made probably at the
weird.
same time as the DigiKit. They were just throwing aqua blue on everything. Like it's like, oh, whatever, like that, plus some aqua blue. Yeah, that should be fine. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I don't know. So come to me, community. Is there a worse kit? And is there any other time you can wear those gloves? So that's my critique of the week. Sometimes I'll just throw in some critiques. Might have fashion in the field and be like, this kit is terrible. But I don't want to be too mean. I'll never put a community kit up there, but it'll just be whatever that default stuff is you find in your garage that sometimes you look and go, I will never wear that.
There's a lot of chat coming through. I absolutely love it. The fashion seems to always get all the opinions. Well, what's coming up this week? That's going to be it for all of our topics, as if there wasn't enough. Make sure to check out all the Zwift Insider articles for more information on all of it. More training for Z Everstein. What else? I mean, what else is happening? Are you setting up your world's training program now to get into the continental qualifiers? What's happening, Anna?
Yeah, no joke. That's I am going to look at what's required there and figure out what I need to do. I will attempt that Ventop again next week to go for that 2 times up Ventop session, and then also we'll do the last Sisu KQOM challenge because it's best 4 out of 7, and next week is my race number 4, and I'm racing in the ACAT men, and so I want to be able to. I think there is a chance I can get on the podium, so I'll be going for that one. That's around Mercury Island somewhere. So short, punchy climbs. So it'll be a good one. Nice. And then it's ZRL. So next week, to be honest, I'm going to rein it in a little with ZRL coming the week after that. Just work on that sort of short, punchy stuff.
Yeah, get prepped for the punchy stuff for sure with ZRL coming the week after next. Now, for me, I am going to do the tiny races, I think, for the first time on Saturday. Ooh. So do we have tiny races on Saturday? I think we do, right? Tiny races just keep going.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah,
so.
we do.
Okay. So I'm doing tiny race. I'm just making sure I'm not, because I've been just like putting it off to find a week and I can do it. And all of a sudden they're not there. Oh, shoot. So tiny races and some more intensity to try and find some local KMs, maybe to get ready for Schwamagon. I've done a lot of the base laying for this week. So kind of that, second go at a peak. You got to do a little base lane. Well, that's kind of getting done. And now let's go into some really high intensity over the weekend training. Through some Zwift racing and maybe some in real life stuff, as well as far as some intervals go and some local KOMs I'm hunting. That's what's happening for my weekend. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Again, we are going to be uploading this to all places that you can find a podcast. Go and thank you to everybody that's listening over audio. We were live here on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, as well as Facebook. Subscribe wherever you like to watch and listen. And we'll see you next week for episode number 8. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, ride on.